713-1043. So, what is on your priority list? What do the Broncos need the most to take the next step, to elevate around Bo Nix? What does the list look like? Text us on the RamosLaw.com text line. We'll get to those. And, of course, we have our list. And, Cecil, I think ours are going to be the same, just how you get there, right? It'll be a little bit different.
Right.
But I'll tell you I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My top 5, and really the 5, in my opinion. It's running back, it's tight end, it's wide receiver, it's inside linebacker.
Yes.
And then actually my 5th is depth on the offensive line.
Okay.
Depth on
is
the
that
offensive
order
line.
in order?
That's in order.
ILB's not higher?
It probably should be, but
What's
it's
your
not.
higher?
I might be able to flop wide receiver and ILB. Because
I was going to say,
like
at least
core
one
a little
higher,
bit.
right?
And depth on the offensive line is, hate that I'm going to say this, I'm going to knock on wood and I'll have my fingers crossed as I say it. They've had a lot of luck health-wise on the offensive line for 2 consecutive seasons.
Right.
It's just a matter of time.
Well, and they've talked about that too. And yesterday in the press conference, Sean Payton went on about what things were previously, and Bo has done a great job in terms of their kind of work on staying healthy. So for me, it's the same running back first, mainly because they make the impact faster, and you need the impact right now. You're in a playoff window right now. That means you're in a Super Bowl window right now. But when you face the elite, and even in the regular season, and I'm even going to say against Joe Burrow, right, that they didn't even make the playoffs in Cincinnati, whatever. Yeah, Logan Wilson got hurt. That's why their defense fell off. So against the elite best quarterbacks in the NFL, or in the AFC, I should say, Bo Nix didn't win anything. 0-4. So, and Kansas City, that wasn't against Pat Mahomes when they won, and they should have won, whatever. But you saw the measuring stick of like, you're a playoff team, but you're not an elite team. If you get a running back who can make an immediate impact, you now become closer to that. You get closer to what can happen there, and you need that support of the ground game. Even Pat Mahomes, in a down year for Kansas City, has the support of Pacheco when he's healthy and Kareem Hunt when Pacheco's not healthy. That's enough. You know, you have that support of your ground game to help your offense run a little bit better. Lamar has Derek. Josh has, why is his name eluding me now? Cook, James Cook.
Oh, James Cook.
Yeah, I was going to call him Cook. He cooked the Broncos, that's for sure. Yeah, James Cook. So if you look at that, and Joe Burrow has Chase Brown. But, like, if you look at that, you need that help from the ground game because the impact can be immediate and then thorough across your entire offense because it opens things up for your quarterback.
Okay. A lot of the texts coming in on the RamosLaw.com text line start with our list. The way it starts. Running back. Why
do people say tight end then?
Well, this is an interesting list for me from James, who is from Florida. Running back, offensive, defensive line depth, inside linebacker, so he puts it as a bit of a higher priority. Then he goes cornerback, safety, and 5 is tight end, wide receiver. I can't put tight end that far down.
At 5?
And tight end to me, and I'm going off of what you taught me, it's, all right, running back draft, tight end, wide receiver, free agency. Dependent on what's out there, inside linebacker might be free agency, so you can just plug it in and play. And then O-line depth would be draft.
Yeah, O-line depth.
I don't care if they do not. I'm almost with Will on this one. Will Peterson.
Yeah.
They don't need to draft a wide receiver at all.
No, not at all. If they happen to grab one on the 3rd day, 7th round, whatever, another Vele, compete, practice squad guy, I'm fine with that. The cornerback safety talk is interesting because you get a lot of that. You get a lot of that on YouTube comments. You get a lot of it on social networking of like, PJ Locke was terrible against. PJ Locke was covering because Justin Cernad and Cody Barton were exposed against the Bills.
Yeah.
So when you say PJ Locke was out of position and his responsibility, he was covering for the players in front of him. Now, would you like maybe a safety that stays a little healthier? Locke gets a little bit banged up? Sure. Would you always like some depth at those positions? Of course.
Right.
Chris Abrams-Drains looks like a player, man. So you love what you see there at the corner position. People want safety depth because they weren't happy with the safety play against the Bills. It's more than just one game. It's this length of the entire season, and safety to me is a little bit further down the priority list because if you fix inside linebacker, your safety play is going to be better because
Yeah.
they're not going to have to cover for those guys. And P.J. Locke is a really smart, athletic, and talented player who had a bad game. And it isn't something where Justin Strnad is a really good special teams player that has had multiple bad games defensively. P.J. Locke had his worst performance in the most important game. It was the wild card game. That doesn't mean I'm looking to out and out replace him. I'm looking for competition. So I kind of push that a little bit further back, but I know a lot of fans, they'll say, yeah, running back, but you need safety help. I'm like, okay, yeah, later. You need running back and tight end. That's the top priority for me. And if your first 2 picks on the draft aren't running back and aren't tight end and flip-flop them, I don't even care. I want running back first. But if it's not running back and tight end, I think you're doing something wrong.
Okay. Well, and I still look at tight end as a free agency option. Now, it's
Potentially,
gonna depend on what's
right
there, right? And what can
free
plug and
agency
play.
happens before the draft,
But
so we'll see.
it's you might do both, right? Maybe you go get one in free agency and one that you can develop that will turn into a joker role at some point down the road.
Isn't that the best option?
I think it is, yeah.
Because then you get the veteran, the Mike Gesicki you can play right now, and then Harold Fannin, you got him in the 3rd round. Okay, now he can just develop, and he's your next guy up when you move on from Gesicki maybe after a year.
Well, and look at what we've done over the last few years, right? I know there's still some questions from folks about George Payton, but you're looking at now Marvin Mims in the 2nd year. What has he done? All right, what's Troy Franklin and Devon Bailey in year 2 do?
Right.
This team and the duo of George and Sean Payton showing that they can develop some guys, but it's not right out of the gate. And I don't think it's probably unfair for us to expect that right out of the gate with later round players.
Yeah, and I think there is a gap. Peyton talked about it, the gap between the AFC teams that are left over and where they're at. If you get the right running back, and a bell cow running back specifically, and Sean kind of didn't say they needed a bell cow back yesterday. Maybe one of the most perplexing things was, why didn't Sean say, and maybe he doesn't want to tip his hand, and hey, they really want Ashton Genty, and they don't want anyone to know. We know how Sean is with the sniff test. He's going to throw you off the scent, okay? So maybe he didn't want to say that, but it's the obvious. They need a bell cow back to make up that gap that Peyton did talk about yesterday, because it is a clear one. It is a clear one. Broncos are a playoff team. They're not a Super Bowl team the way the Ravens or the Bills and, yes, even the Chiefs are.
Well, here's what Sean said about the gap.
I didn't see a gap last weekend until the second half, and then you see a gap because you're losing. But I felt real confident we'd go in there and play well and win. We obviously didn't play well enough, but those lines are much finer than we think. You know, I use that term, there's a fine line between a groove and a rut, and it's a player, it's 2 players, it's the line of scrimmage, it's the kicking game. So we're not looking backwards, we're looking ahead, and it starts with the division, you know, and there's a lot of confidence in this team. If we could get past that game, the next game we had to play, we felt real good about. And so obviously we're still not there yet, and yet we're a lot closer than we were at this time a year ago. That was misery, sorrow, drudgery. Give me some other adjectives there. Just, God, that was brutal. Let's say that.
I was just waiting for somebody in the media to be like,
God.
yeah, bleep Russ from the studio or from the seats over there.
Right.
Yeah, that's some interesting stuff at the end. One, telling us we like our chances against the Chiefs at Arrowhead in the divisional round. And then, just like I totally hated my life at this time last year because of Russell Wilson.
Right. Yeah, he just couldn't. He can never help himself. But what's nice is that he'll stop talking about Russ when they start winning more with Bo. As they go further. It'll be like the New Orleans thing. I'm glad he really doesn't bring up Marcus Colston anymore.
No. Did you hear George give him a shot yesterday?
Yeah.
Which I kind of thought was fun. You get a little.
They have a playful
look
back and
into
forth.
the dynamic of like Sean or George said it like, yeah, Sean has talked about in the past all the guys he drafted at New Orleans. In fact, he talks about it a lot.
I love that. I love
do
that
too.
back and forth, man.
That's what you do with your boys. You bust their balls a little
Sean
bit.
Payton and George Payton, they're like me and Drew Spivak.
Yeah.
Bust our balls. Still, it's all love, though. And those two work together really well. And it's mostly on George because Sean's probably not going to give a whole lot. You know what I mean? In terms of compromise.
Exactly,
It is George compromising, but George is getting to do what George does best, and that's scout. So go find a running back, George, because this team, priority number 1, to close that gap. And it was there in the second half. And why was it there? Is because you couldn't sustain drives and you couldn't run the ball. You just can't. You flat out can't run the ball. And it's not the offensive line. They're 3rd in run block win rate.
No, it's the coach. It's the coach.
And it's also the talent or lack thereof at the running back position. It doesn't mean Audric Estime is not the greatest guy ever. He couldn't beat out Javonte Williams, who isn't what he used to be.
Or even close to what he used to be.
Right.
Talking about that gap, I want to go back to that for a second, between the top-tier teams in the AFC and where the Broncos are.
Yeah.
And then really break it down to quarterbacks. It's Patrick Mahomes, it's Lamar Jackson, it's Josh Allen, and it's Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow.
So those four are all in the AFC. Those four have all beat Bo Nix and the Broncos. And I started to think about, all right, if you're in Broncos country, and we all would love for Bo to be that, to be viewed as the way the world looks at Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, and Patrick Mahomes. But I thought to myself, is that realistic? Is that realistic for Bo to be in the same class, a top-tier quarterback with those guys? And I'm not going to say that it is. I'm not going to say that it is not. I'll learn from all of your guys' mistakes and not say that it is not going to be. But I also thought to myself, it doesn't really have to be either, right? Like the fit. We keep talking about the fit. Now, in Kansas City, they have the fit and the skill.
Yeah.
Now, that's why they're hoping to win 3 straight Super Bowls. But we watched it with Josh Allen this year. He has no All-Pros, no Pro Bowls, right? He's dragging it there. So is the fit really there, or is Josh just extremely talented? Probably go on the latter there because Sean McDermott is not the fit. So if Bo doesn't have that same quarterback talent that a Joe Burrow, a Lamar, a Josh, or a Patrick has, but he has Sean Payton, and Sean can check his ego from time to time, that will allow him to be in the same conversations. I'm not here to tell you the same tier, but at least in the conversation. Does that make sense?
It definitely makes sense. And I will say he can get there based on he has to hit the full window. But what was my player comparison for Bo Nix last year? It's Jared Goff.
Jared Goff, that's right.
Is Jared Goff not the best quarterback in the NFC?
He's on the tier that we're talking about, yeah.
Yeah. So can Bo Nix be in that upper tier? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he can. He's not there yet.
Right.
I'm not predicting that he'll be there next year. But what does Jared Goff have?
He's got fit and a whole lot of talent around him. A whole lot of talent
Right.
around
They
him.
have a tight end. They have multiple receivers. Timmy Pats can't even see the field if everybody's healthy, right? And that's a damn good receiver. They have not one but 2 running backs. By the way, David Montgomery's going to play this weekend. Put a little note on that.
Nice.
So David Montgomery, their all-purpose back, is back to be with Jahmyr Gibbs, their all-purpose back, who can explode at any time. So, and it's not just the talent around him to make Jared Goff has improved. When he was a rookie with Sean McVay, and McVay got rid of him, point blank, period. And if you look at the trade that they make with the Rams and the Lions, and look at all the Lions got, the Rams got Matthew Stafford. He is a God-given, and I know they're both number 1 overall picks, but his God-given skill is superior to that of Jared Goff. But Jared Goff, with that talent, has become a better quarterback. When he was a rookie, he didn't know what direction the sun came up. No cap, as the kids would say.
He said it.
He said it on Hard Knocks.
Yeah.
I don't know what direction that is. It's east, buddy. So, has Jared Goff improved as a quarterback? Yes. Did they put the right talent, and the coach believed in him? Dan Campbell believed in him the way that Sean Payton believes in Bo Nix. So you're asking the question, can Nix be in that tier with the Josh Allen, with the Pat Mahomes, with the Joe Burrow, with the Lamar Jackson? My answer is yes, one day.
Okay.
One day.
Something else that Sean said yesterday that this got real strange to me. Talking about injuries and really lack thereof with the Denver Broncos right now compared to what it was. This sort of just came out of left field, but Sean is very passionate about it.
The injury data, I could give you the graph. I think 32 teams a year ago, we finished first. This year, we're currently second from the, and I don't want to use the wrong word, but from what was taking place prior. All right. And that's a credit to Bo Lowry. It's a credit to the training room, the strength and development. It's a credit to everyone involved. And, that there's a lot that goes into that. And then if you're finishing towards the bottom, there's a lot that goes into that too. And you've earned that. And I know Greg, everyone involved in the process is really excited because here's the thing. You're also selling to your players, and now your players are wanting to be here for the recovery. They want to be here for the offseason. They want to be here lifting. They want to be here. They're not all disappearing to the satellite private workout expert facilities that are supposedly that they're staying here, and there's more than a year of proof. There's 2 years of proof, and for those prior that it didn't work out so well for, tough. That's just what it was. They earned those numbers. When you have 134 players miss games because of injury, something's wrong. And then when you have 30-something 2 years in a row, something's right.
Okay, so a couple things for me on this. Now, one, I think first and foremost, he's pitching his players, right? He's
Right,
like, stay,
right.
guys. We have a plan. Stay here, work through it. We
And
know
they
we can
wanna
trust
stay
you.
here. Yeah.
Right, you want to stay here. I heard Philip Lindsay say something yesterday that really stood out to me, and I didn't know, right? Phil said, when I was at Denver as a Bronco, we had one nutritionist for the team. I went to Miami, and there were 4. So you didn't have to wait in line, make an appointment. You just go talk to the nutritionist.
Right.
And time matters. Time is money, and money is time, and all that stuff. And especially with NFL players, where their schedule's all over the place, that's important. And then Phil said, now at Denver, because of Greg Pinner, they have 4 nutritionists. They also pay their strength and conditioning coach more than any other NFL team. So I think it's more of that from Sean Payton. But it's weird to just dunk on the past regime like that unless there's a reason why or a relationship that went the wrong way. And I don't know this. I'm going to speculate. I don't know if you do or can share or whatever. But Lauren Landau, right? That's the name. And in the city, a lot of people have great things to say about Lauren Landau.
Oh, very much so, for good reason, yeah.
Full disclosure, I don't know Lauren. I've been at one function with him, and we didn't speak or shake hands or say hello. So I don't know Lauren personally. I know what I've been told about him, good and bad, about Lauren Landau and his program. Sounds like Sean is not a believer.
Well, we know in the pre-draft process, there's a lot of these other facilities, and I'm mainly thinking the ones in Florida, not Landau Performance here in Denver, but I'm thinking of the Florida facilities that agents send their players to in pre-draft, and then a lot of guys just stay because, hey, they helped me out before the draft, they got me drafted high, whatever, and Sean just took a dump all over. He couldn't help himself.
No,
He's like, hey, wait till you get a load of this. He's like a guy that farts in the elevator. He's happy about it. He's like, hey, wait till you smell this. Because he took a dump on those type of facilities. Again, not talking about any specific facility. Full disclosure, I know Lauren. I like Lauren.
Okay.
But I also know that results matter in a results-based business. And Greg Penner also went out of his way to do the research. And Bo Lowry, where's the Bo's a great dude drop? Because we got to play that. Because Bo Lowry, we usually use that for Bo Nix.
Bo Lowry.
He is a great dude.
Bo's a great dude.
And
Lowry.
Bo Lowry is a great dude as
Mike
well.
Lowry.
Mike Lowry. King Dingaling. So, Bo Lowry and the emphasis they've done on recovery, the stretching, the strength, the plyometrics, all the stuff that they do with Bo, it's really state of the art. It's really cutting edge.
Okay.
And you can tell. You can tell from the results. So personal relationships aside, you can just say, hey, they're a lot less injured now. Mm-hmm. And that's a great job. And it's a great job from Greg from doing the research. Remember, Greg, this isn't a side hobby for Greg Penner.
No,
this
it's
isn't
not.
a part of the portfolio or whatever people were saying when the Walton Penner Group bought this team. This is Greg Penner going, why is those guys hurt all the time? Let me research it. What do this team does? What do you do? How about this? How about that? And then put it together. Who's the best I can get? Bo Lowry. What does he need? Who cares? Pay him whatever. Bo Lowry, well paid because he deserves it.
Okay.
Great dude, great mind, always looking to the latest in technology and recovery therapy and all the sorts of things that you need in an NFL program, and the results are there. So Sean, how to say that.
He had a dunk moment.
Yeah,
it was his chance to dunk on those folks.
I said dump, you said dunk.
Yeah.
It's just the
Same
same
sort of thing.
Same thing. Yeah.
Now I have a question. Do you know Bo Lowry? You know Bo?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so you take your connections with Bo Lowry.
Yeah.
I take my connections with the Denver Nuggets, and we put Bo Lowry and Jamal Murray in the same room.
Next time I see Bo, I'll ask him about that. Hey, you ever think about talking to Jamal Murray?
Yeah.
Hey, Jamal Murray and you, because Bo Lowry is top of the top.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I also
top
think,
of the top.
and this is something that Sean was doing. Again, this is a part of the pitch to his players, and I say this all the time. You know what rich guys do? Win at everything. Even the strength and conditioning room, even the nutritionists on your staff, they win.
Yeah.
And that is appealing to players. Then the coach gets to sell it to a pending free agent, or George gets to sell it to a pending free agent.
Yep.
These are the things that other NFL owners cannot do because they don't have the money that Greg Penner has.
Hey, Kev, Do you know where Bo Lowry came from and who he worked with last year? LSU and one Jaden Daniels.
Oh, wow.
And Jaden would tell you himself, and I've heard this from my Commanders guy. Full disclosure, I haven't talked to Jaden about this, but I've heard from my Commanders guys. I mean, he loves Bo Lowry.
Really?
And that's Jaden Daniels. You know what I mean? And we have 2 franchise quarterbacks that we get to talk to about this class. Maybe more with Penix, maybe J.J. McCarthy. So, yeah, when you have that sort of reputation from 2 of the best young quarterbacks in this league, Bo Nix and Jaden Daniels, it's off the charts. They got it right. And Bo is a great dude.
Bo is definitely a great
Either
dude.
one.
Bo's a great dude.
Who knows? McGlinchey might have been talking about Lowry.
Maybe.
Keeping his body right.
Never know.
You know?
Maybe I should ask the mayor, Mike McGlinchey. I'd be like, tell me about Bo Lowry. And he'd be like, Bo's a great dude. You know what I mean? He's like, oh, everyone's a great dude.
Yeah. I still, at some point, I need buddy cop sitcom series, movie, YouTube show, trailer, what's a pilot episode or something with Andrew Mason and Mike McGlinchey. And at one point, McGlinchey picks Andrew Mason up like a baby and they run into the distance. Something like that has to happen.
Okay. Yes.
You know
yes.
what I mean?
Buddy cop movie.
Yeah.
Mason McGlinchey.
Nice.
Jinx, you owe me a soda. All right. YouTube, you owe me a like, comment, share, subscribe. Hit the notification bell so that you never miss a vid. We appreciate you here on Dover and Cecil.
I have an interesting question. We might make some more time for this tomorrow on a Friday, having a little bit of fun, but the Broncos just ended their playoff drought, right?
Yeah.
They went to the postseason.
Yeah.
It leaves locally the Rockies as the team with the longest playoff drought of the Big Four and everything, right? So they haven't made it since 2018. I have a question about Broncos, Avs, Nuggets. Will one of those 3 teams win a championship before the Rockies are back in the postseason? Will the Broncos, Nuggets, or Avs give us a parade before Dick's boys are back in the postseason? I think the answer is yes.
I think the answer is yes.
And I think you and I are both kind of on the same page of the Rockies of like, it can be coming if things continue for another year and a half of what they've done the last year and a half. But we're still talking 2-3 years away. And I hope one of those 3 teams are in a championship opportunity before 3 years come.
Oh, it's the Avs probably this year. But either way, and if the Rockies get back to the playoffs, you know what it'll be sounding like?
What?
I'll bet he sound like Theo Vaughn praising the Lord above.
Thank you for calling, man. Praise God.
Because I will have the Rockies in the playoffs. So it will be, the sunbathing on the Lord's porch? Isn't that what he says, right? Yeah, we got that one too.
God. I mean, I felt like I was just sunbathing on the Lord's front porch, bro.
If you don't love Theo Vaughn, we're not the same kind of people.
We can't hang out.